Do you experience jealousy arising in your relationships that prevents you from showing up the way that you want to? There's a practice for that.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Mark. Today we have a powerful practice to release jealousy taught by cognitive repatterning expert Jeff.
Jealousy is such a common feeling, especially in relationships, but we're never taught how to deal with it. Often we just get angry, shut down, pretend it doesn't exist, and none of these help and just end up disconnecting us from our partner.
Yeah, I've definitely had that feeling in my relationships. I've had moments in my life where jealousy just has come on really strong, and instead of figuring out where it comes from, I just stew in my head about it, all the while my partner's wondering why I'm so shut down.
Yeah, so let's get into the practice.
Jealousy does not need to control your life or impact or influence your relationships. Largely, in our conditioned response as men, jealousy comes up and we just experience pain and we don't know what to do about it. We are either aggressive or we are withdrawn. We're either quiet or we're overly big. The solution to this issue is to address the feelings associated with the experience of jealousy. We want to be able to process those in real time, but do more than that and actually look underneath those emotions into the thoughts, feelings, and unconscious beliefs that are actually catalyzing them. The way that we do that in this practice is going to be with the emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping, because in this modality, you are tapping percussively. Imagine you have a grid of subtle energy going up and down your body, and acupuncture points are just dots on those lines. Those lines are called meridians. So this is a meridian-based healing technology. What it looks like is you tap on acupressure points in a specific sequence while accessing various emotional states. There's also a neuro-linguistic reprogramming aspect, which looks like affirmations. This is going to be a 10-minute practice that you can do on your own. All right, let's get into the practice. I will be tapping with you, and I'm going to give you some words and you just repeat what I say. Feel free to change anything that I say to match your experience more accurately. If it doesn't feel true, then you don't have to worry about it. First, I'm going to have you tune into what your experience of jealousy is. Either a current issue that you are experiencing right now or the memory of a previous relationship where you experienced jealousy.
I have a lover who I was having an evening with, and she had some bite marks on her thighs. I felt that jealousy of like somebody else making a mark on the woman I was with. I just felt this sort of visceral like ownership coming up.
Where's the epicenter of it?
It feels like it's like up here in my chest, close to my throat.
Okay. And now give it a number so that you can check your work at the end of the practice to determine how effective it is.
6.5.
Okay, 6.5, center of the chest. After coming into connection with the issue, which is our experience of jealousy, then I'm gonna have you tap on some points. And I will be tapping with you and modeling what that looks like, and I will give you some words and you simply repeat what I say. The reason that this is so powerful is because the unconscious responds incredibly powerfully to direction from the conscious mind. All right, we're gonna start the tap by having you tap on the karate chop, the fleshy part of your hand, gently but rapidly. Taking a long, slow, deep breath. Just be curious with it for a moment. Even though I have this feeling in my chest.
Even though I have this feeling in my chest.
I'm noticing jealousy.
I'm noticing jealousy.
And it's really uncomfortable.
And it's really uncomfortable.
I'm allowing myself the possibility.
I'm allowing myself the possibility.
Of understanding, loving, and forgiving myself.
Of understanding, loving, and forgiving myself.
From here, we're going to begin to give expression to the uncomfortable, unwanted emotions, thoughts, feelings, and limiting beliefs that intertwine all of them and begin to process that from and out of the body. It's really important to be honest with yourself about what is coming up for you as you go through this practice. If you notice anger coming up, create space for it, let it be big. Notice where it's pointed at, who it's pointed at. Even if it's pointed at yourself, you want to actually allow the emotions to come up and to be experienced in their entirety in your nervous system while tapping on them. This is what integrates you and harmonizes your energy. Holding space for any sadness, any grief, or any resentment that comes up in response to unprocessed pain. What's happening in your body and your brain as you tap on yourself is you are sending pulses of electromagnetic energy that is activating and stimulating your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So you are telling yourself to wake up, and at the same time, you are telling yourself that everything is completely safe and that you are completely safe and that you can relax. What this does is activates and helps you feel emotions in their entirety, which is a good thing. And at the same time, it also diminishes those emotional responses or the intensity down to zero, so that then you can tune into the thing that you were thinking about that was painful, except you find yourself clear. After doing that for a specific amount of time, then we will begin to gently pendulate in nurturing and empowering thought forms. This is a way of not only diminishing the intensity of the painful, unwanted, negative emotional belief systems, but then also beginning to build up the potency of empowering and generative thought forms. Has it shifted? What does it feel like? Is it more intense? Is it the same? Is it less intense?
It's much less intense.
Allow yourself to remember everything that you can of the last 10 minutes that we've been tapping, because parts of your mind have been paying attention and repatterning themselves. Now tap yourself all over. This communicates completion to the body, wakes you back up. And then just take a moment, noticing your breath, noticing your body, letting yourself be present to what is. And that completes the practice.
That was amazing. I almost felt delight for her and her other lover, and delight at seeing the bite mark, like the jealousy just like evaporated.
That's profound. Because an experience of jealousy is like, it seems to be an access point with a lot of potential, because there's so many different things that are happening underneath it.
The jealousy, that was just this top layer sort of anger or I want, and underneath it during the tapping I actually felt the sadness, the not enough, and they were feelings that I wasn't registering as what was going on just in the actual jealousy moment.
Yeah, and so this practice and these practices are a way of like noticing what you're experiencing in the here and now and being able to tend to it, but then also examining like what's underneath this and what's underneath that, because then in addressing it at its fundamental level, then everything connected to it just kind of melts away.
Yeah, the jealousy just pops.
Yeah. Instead of showing up as protective or contracted or fearful or aggressive in your relationships, you will find that you emerge curious, compassionate, understanding, calm, and aware.
How was this practice for you?
The tapping really relaxed me, and it took away the intense feelings of jealousy that I had.
What really struck me when I tried this practice was how much the tapping helped me feel what was underneath the jealousy, because for me, it's rarely about the surface feeling.
Yeah, for me, I realized that, it wasn't about my partner, it was completely about me. And I realized that it was about my own fears of, not being enough, of being replaceable, that somebody was actually better at sex than I was. And, when I started to see that it was all my stuff, I actually felt happy for her rather than jealous. Any last things you'd like to share with any of the men out there?
I really want guys to understand that anger or resentment or jealousy, those are all going to be secondary emotional responses that are occurring because of something else that we don't want to feel. And typically that's going to be fear, it's going to be just straight up pain, it's going to be sadness, loss, or grief, or that's going to be shame. And so if we're experiencing jealousy, that's a strong indication that we just have some internally limiting beliefs and unprocessed experiences. Once you get that out of the way, then all of a sudden just the entirety of who you are, a very peaceful, very present, very non-confronted person gets to emerge into the equation.
When you try this practice, let us know how it goes in the comments. What shifts for you?
Yeah, and be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. We've got more practices coming your way soon.